Could you describe any of the kapos?
No, I didn't have any.
Could you describe the food?
For one day, I really didn't notice.
Could you describe the daily routine?
There was no routine. There was appel, like the usual, in the morning appel, and then we had breakfast, a black coffee, and there we had lunchtime a soup, and at night we got, I don't remember, a quarter of a bread or a sixth of a bread.
Were there people killed?
Only that one incident, I told you what I saw that, but in Grusen there was a lot of people killed.
Mm-hmm. You know
Not
how?
what I saw, but what I heard.
You know how?
I can't tell you how. Most of the time by drowning in a boil.
Huh. Were there attempts to escape?
I don't know.
Was there any organized underground or planned resistance or contact with the outside?
I can't tell you from Grusen because I was there only one day.
Were there any attempts at cultural activity?
Not as far as I know.
Were there any children in the camp?
Not as far as I know.
Were there? Well, do you know what the relations between the Jewish inmates were, or antagonisms?
Well, in one day you can't tell too much. And to tell you the truth, I don't remember too much about that one day.
Did you receive any help from fellow inmates?
No, I don't remember any.
Were you ill in Gusen?
No.
Was there any medical attention at the camp?
There probably was, but I didn't see it.
Describe your clothing and your sanitary
The
conditions.
same thing. It was black and white striped pajamas. The sanitary conditions, I don't think it was good. It was bad.
Did you or anyone else receive mail officially?
No.
Okay. When did date of arrival at Groditz, and by where and what means of transportation?
Well, I arrived in Groditz in the end of January, and the last week of January by train.
Did you arrive?
Okay. Did you arrive alone or with members of your family?
I arrived alone.
Okay. Were there selections on arrival?
No, it wasn't.
Could you describe the location and the size of the camp and its guard system?
Well, that was not a camp, it was a factory. It was a munition factory. We lived on the top, on the factory. In the factory we lived. It was guarded by German SS. And the whole camp was from 300 people. They all worked in the same factory there.
Could you name any of the commanders, officers, and men that you could remember?
No, I can't.
How many Germans guarded the camp?
Oh, it must have been about 20, maybe 30.
Were there any non-Germans?
In the camp?
No, guards.
I don't know.
Were the Germans all SS, or did they belong to other units?
The officers were assessed. The plain guardsmen were the Wehrmacht.
Do you remember any incidents that could be used to accuse individual Nazis of war crimes?
No.
What was the composition of the inmates? The numbers, ages, sexes, Jews and non-Jews, towns and areas of origin?
There it was mostly non-Jews. There was 80% non-Jews. It was international. What else do you want to know?
Okay, what did the work consist of?
Well, we worked in a munition factory. I worked in a metal forging machine.
Okay, describe the capos.
Well, we had a capo, but nothing to describe.
Okay, could you describe the food?
The food was very bad.
Okay, could you describe the daily routine?
Well, the daily routine, we got up in the morning, they counted us, we got a black coffee, we went down to work, and no breakfast. We had lunch, soup, and we got about a sixth of a bread for supper.
Okay, were there people killed?
Well, I didn't see anybody killed, but they died from unsanitary conditions.
Okay, were there attempts to escape?
Not as far as I know.
Was there any organized underground or resistance or contacts with the outside?
Not as far as I know.
Were there any attempts at cultural activity?
Not as far as I know.
Were there any children in the camp?
No, it was not.
Okay, what was the relationships between the Jewish inmates?
There was actually no relationship at all there.
Was there any antagonisms from people of the same town or from different groups?
No, it wasn't.
Did you receive help from fellow inmates?
No, we didn't.
Was there any relationships between the Jews and non-Jews?
There was no relationship at all.
Okay, were you ill there?
No, I wasn't.
Okay, were there medical attention of any kind?
Yes, but when you went into for medical attention, you didn't come out alive anymore.
Describe the clothing.
Same thing, black and white pajamas,
And the
striped pajamas.
The sanitary conditions?
Very, very bad.
Did you or anyone else receive mail?
No, we didn't. All what we received was lice.
Okay, the date of arrival at Leitmaritz, and by what means of transportation?
From Gröditz, we walked to Leitmaritz.
Did you arrive alone?
I arrived alone.
Was there any selection on arrival?
No, there was no selection in Leitmaritz.
Describe the location and size of the camp and its guard system.
I can't describe you because I was there only for one day, and after the day we walked back to Theresienstadt from there, so there's nothing I can describe you there.
Could you name any of the commanders, officers, or men?
No, I can't.
Were there many Germans guarding the camps?
Yeah, there were a lot of Germans.
Were there many non-Germans?
Not as far as I know.
Were
Maybe they were, but I don't know about it.
Were the Germans SS or did they belong to other units?
They were mostly SS.
Do you remember incidents that could be used to accuse any individual Nazis of war crimes?
No.
Okay, what was the composition of the inmates, the numbers, ages, sexes?
International, from 16 till 55.
Were they Jews or non-Jews?
I said international, that means non-Jews and Jews.
What did the work consist of?
I didn't work there, I was there only one day.
Could you describe any of the capos?
No, I didn't have any.
Could you describe the food?
Well, I was there only one day, so there's nothing to describe.
Could you describe the daily routine?
In that one day I didn't have no daily routine.
Were there people killed?
Not as far as I know, but it probably was.
Were there attempts to escape?
Not as far as I know.
Was there any organized underground or planned resistance?
I can't tell you because I didn't have enough time to notice it.
Were there any attempts at cultural activity?
Not as far as I know. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't.
Were there
One
any-
thing I can't tell.
Were there any children?
I didn't see any.
What were the relationships between the Jewish inmates?
From one day I can judge, I can't tell.
Did you receive help from fellow inmates?
No, I didn't.
Were you ill?
No.
Was there any medical attention of any kind?
It probably was, but I didn't see it.
Could you describe the clothing and the sanitary conditions?
Sanitary condition was bad. Clothing was the same thing, striped pajamas.
You or anyone else receive mail officially?
No.
The date of your arrival at Theresienstadt and by what means of transportation?
I arrived in Theresienstadt in April and we walked from Leitmaritz.
Did you arrive alone?
Yes, I arrived alone.
Was there selection on arrival?
There was no selection in Theresienstadt. Theresienstadt was already a ghetto. Theresienstadt was a ghetto from the beginning to the end. There you had already families, but the families was mostly Czech Jews.
Okay. Describe the location and the size of the camp and its guard system.
Theresienstadt was the whole town was the ghetto. And as far as the guard system is concerned, that I can't tell you exactly, but I imagine that it was guarded from outside of town.
Can you name any commanders, officers?
There was no commanders or officers in Theresienstadt.
Were there many Germans guarding the camp?
That wasn't a camp, that was a ghetto.
Were there many Germans guarding the ghetto?
I can't tell you that because it probably was a lot of Germans guarding it.
How many, were there many non-Germans?
In
Theresienstadt.
Theresienstadt, I don't know. It probably was Czechs, I imagine.
Were the Germans SS?
Tell you the truth, I didn't see in Theresienstadt, I didn't see no Germans.
Do you remember incidents that could be used to accuse individual Nazis as war criminals?
No, I can't.
What was the composition of the inmates? The numbers, ages, sexes, Jews, non-Jews?
All Jews, from infant babies till 80 years old.
What were their areas of origin?
Well, mostly, I guess it was all Jews from all over. That was already the end of the war, and from the camps, originally they brought them to Theresienstadt. The Germans wanted to blow them up there, but the Russians came in a day earlier. You see, Theresienstadt was a prison state in Czechoslovakia, and it was full of bunkers. But originally the Germans had a mind by bringing all the Jewish to Theresienstadt is to put them in the bunkers and blow them up. But the war was near an end, and before the Russians came in, the Red Cross took it over. But the Germans still had to plan to blow all of them up, but the Russians came a day too early for them.
What did the work consist of?
There was no work in Theresienstadt.
Were there any kapos?
No capos.
Well, describe the food.
I really don't remember there the food, because there it was already like a ghetto, and they had kitchens set up. You got in the morning breakfast. It wasn't too much food, it was very little, but it consisted of the same thing.
Could
A
you
little bread in the morning, a soup and for lunch, and a little bread for supper, that's all.
Could you describe your daily routine?
There was no routine in Theresienstadt.
Were people killed?
Not as far as I know, they probably was.
Were there any attempts to escape?
I imagine so.
Was
From
there
Theresienstadt, yes.
was there an organized underground?
I can't tell you that, I don't know.
Was there any attempts at cultural activity?
In Theresienstadt, as far I don't know about it, but it probably was.
Were there any children in the camp, either hidden or in the open?
It was open. There were children there. Not too many, but there was.
What were the relations between the Jewish inmates?
In Theresienstadt, we waited, we should be liberated. It was already at the end of the war, so they were, actually the relationship was pretty good.
Did you receive help from fellow inmates?
Yes, in Theresienstadt we received help
Give details.
from the Jews who were there from before. They helped us when we came. They comforted us. They tried to tell us that we're gonna be all right.
Were you ill in Theresienstadt?
No, I wasn't.
Was there any medical attention of any kind?
It was
Was it official?
official, yes.
Was it staffed by German or Jewish personnel?
I think it was Jewish personnel there.
Describe the clothing
We had civilian clothes there.
and the sanitary conditions.
Well, it wasn't too good, but it was better in the concentration camp anyways.
Did you or anyone else receive mail?
No.
Okay, turn it off.
Well, in Munkac ghetto there was no resistance at all.
To what political and or social organization did you belong to prior to the war and during the ghetto period?
Well, I belonged to the Hanoar Atzoni, a Zionist organization.
Did you belong to any underground organizations?
No, I didn't.
What were your activities as a member of the organization until the ghetto rebellion?
Well, I was a child, so I just joined the organization, and we went there mainly Friday nights. We sang, and we had assemblies.
What was your status, ordinary member or commander?
Ordinary member.
Please recount names and personal details of members of your group, including names of commanders and members whom you did not know personally.
Well, the leader of the group was my brother,
Names.
Katz. The other, they were Glickman. I don't remember really. As I tell you, I was a child at that time, and I can't tell you too many. I don't remember.
Do you
too
remember
much.
personal details of the group?
No, not really.
What were the contacts of your group with other Jewish groups in the ghetto?
There were no contacts.
Were there any contacts with the area inside?
No. In the ghetto, I wasn't associated with anything. What I was talking is before the ghetto. You were asking me before.
Did you have any weapons at all?
No, we didn't.
Where did your money come from?
Where, in the ghetto?
Yeah.
Well, we had saved up.
How did you define Jewish traders?
I don't think we had any Jewish traders in the ghetto.
Were there any arguments between...
If there was, I didn't know about it.
Was there any arguments between those who wanted to fight in the ghetto and those who wanted to join partisans in the forest?
Not as I know.
Was there political argument within your organization?
No, not as far as I know.
What was your viewpoints of any politics at that time?
I didn't have no viewpoints at all. I was too young to have viewpoints of it.
Did the members of your group and did you yourself believe then in any of the following? Did you believe that if we fight we have a chance of survival?
I didn't think so, no. I was too young in that time to think about those things.
Did you think you had no chance?
We didn't think at all.
Did you want to take revenge?
Yes, I did.
Did you want to fight for the honor of the Jewish people?
Yes, I would if I could. I didn't have no chance for it.
Did you want to fight so people will not say that we went like sheep to the slaughter?
It went through my mind.
Did you want to fight because you had nothing to lose?
Well, as a child, I really can't tell you.
What happened to your family?
Well, most of them were killed in Auschwitz. One brother was died in Russia as a prisoner, and one brother died a day before liberation.
Relate in details your own story during the fighting. Oh, you weren't there during the fighting?
I didn't fight, so I don't have what to relate.
Okay, that's it.